NetsBoy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play. What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bringing you latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. Okay, so it's official. There are no more ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no question mark. There's no debate. The Nets are the worst team in the NBA. Bar none. It's just, I can't even try to justify them by saying that they are not the worst team in the NBA. They are 9-38. The next worst team are the Phoenix Suns, who have 15 wins, or 15-32. That is a 6-game difference. The Nets are terrible. Now look, if they had Jeremy Lin, would they be better? Absolutely. Would they be the worst team in the league? No, I don't think they would be. I think they'd be a much better team. I think they'd be around a 15 to 20-ish win team and be, right in the hunt of things. I do. Because when you take away Jeremy Lin, who is a solid 18-7 player, who's supposed to be your point guard, your leader, that's a big difference. And especially when you substitute Spencer frickin' Dinwiddie as the solution. Like, seriously, who the hell is Spencer Dinwiddie? Why is this guy allowed to exist on this team? He is beyond useless. Why did the Nets get rid of Yogi Ferrell for this guy? I don't see it. I don't see anything special about this guy at all. I saw something with Yogi Ferrell. He played hard. He played aggressive. He always wanted to try to get better. Spencer Dinwiddie, he's useless. And I can't believe this guy is starting for the Nets. So, But beside the point, this Nets team is bad. Regardless of injuries, regardless of what's going on, this team is very, very bad. Karis LeVert, he's played very well of late. He's looking really solid. You can see the potential. You see why the Nets traded Thaddeus Young to try to get him with the 20th overall pick. So he's been looking great. Whitehead has been looking better. He kind of plateaued, but he's starting to pick it up again. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson looks solid. So those guys, the young guys, are looking solid. But everyone else around the Nets just needs to start playing better, especially Bojan Bogdanovic. I think the Nets should trade Bogdanovic, to be honest. Like trade him. I had a couple scenarios in which I think the Nets should trade him, and I might go into that more in detail in my next NetsBoy episode. I think my next NetsBoy episode is going to be the moves I believe the Nets should make. But, he's just frustrating to watch because all he does is becomes a black hole and gets the ball stripped. And when he goes to the basket, he misses terrible shots, and he has no ball handling ability and can't play defense. I'll save that for another time. I'll save the whole trade Bogdanovic and who the Nets should trade type of thing for the next episode, because that'll be a little bit closer to the trade deadline. But the truth is, this team is just bad. And there's not a lot they can do to get better at this point without making a trade. Now, that being said, the Nets should not, I repeat, should not trade Brook Lopez. But NetsBoy, what are you talking about? How can the Nets not trade Brook Lopez? Be reasonable. Yeah, he's 28 years old. He doesn't fit what they're trying to do with the rebuild. They have no draft picks. He needs to go. We need to get what we can get and try to get as many picks and as many young players and build. Yeah, no crap, I know that. But listen, use your brain. The Nets are going to get nowhere by being bad. Being bad doesn't help the Nets. They do not have their draft pick next season. So being the worst team in the league gets you nowhere. It just gets you an embarrassment. And once again, makes that trade that the Nets made 3 years ago look unbelievably dumb. So if you were to trade Brook Lopez, you've got to get more than just a couple draft picks or a draft pick and a young player. Because you are basically saying, we're going to be as bad as we possibly can and just hope that one of these picks or players becomes something good. You can't hope about that a player like that is going to happen when you're trading away your best player and going to be literally a disaster team. Because without Brook Lopez, this team might be lucky to win 3 more games the rest of the year. So you don't try to trade Brook Lopez. Now, listen. If the Nets get an offer, and the Nets have made it clear that they are looking for 2 first-round draft picks in this coming draft for Lopez. And you know what? I think that's a smart idea. If a team is willing to give up 2 first-round draft picks in this up-and-coming draft, I say yes. Trade Brook Lopez. I say yes. But I personally want to make sure that the Nets don't just get 2 top, late first-round draft picks, because then it's not worth it. One of those picks need to be lottery pick or lottery potential, like a team that could be in the lottery, because then it's really not worth it. Because, yes, this is a deep draft next year, but even in the deepest drafts, unless they're a top 10 pick, they're not really going to be a guarantee to become a really great player in the NBA. And that's what the Nets need. If you're going to trade Brook Lopez right now, before the trade deadline, and become the worst team, well, they already are the worst team, but solidify it as the worst team in the league, and you will guarantee yourself to have the worst record if you do that. You've got to make sure you get something that you know, that you are almost 100% sure can translate into a great, not good, great NBA player next year. You have to. You can't just be like, we need draft picks, let's just trade Lopez for any pick that we can get. No, and that's what everyone's saying. The teams, there's so many teams that want Lopez. They give up, get what you can get what you. No. And here's the other reason. Use your brain. This is called negotiation. Right now, the teams that want Brook Lopez are either championship teams or teams that are on the cusp of the playoffs. So you're looking at maybe like 10 teams. Why trade Lopez now when the interest level is among about 10 teams, when you could wait till the end of the season, which is, by the way, before the NBA draft, and trade Lopez over the offseason, where now you have 29 other options, 29 other teams that will probably be interested in making phone calls about Brook Lopez. Think about it. Like, what team could not use a player like Brook Lopez? I mean, you can make some arguments about, like, actually, I'm trying to think about it, because even a team like the Timberwolves, who have Karl Anthony Towns, they're linked to rumors of wanting Lopez, so they want to pair Lopez together with him. Like, maybe the Hawks, because they have Dwight Howard now, they may not want Lopez. That's all I got. Every other team in the league, maybe the Grizzlies because they have Gasol, but every other team in the league would probably, maybe the Jazz with because they have Gobert, because he looks like he's going to be great, But every other team in the league probably looks at Lopez and says, like, he could be an upgrade for what we have, at least offensively. He might be a different type of player. Like the Miami Heat, they have Hassan Whiteside, but they might say, well, Whiteside's a great rebounder, defensive player, but if we want a little bit more offense, maybe you know what I mean? Like, at least 20 teams in the league would probably be interested in Brook Lopez this offseason, compared to the 5 to 10 teams that might be interested with him at the trade deadline. So you have more options if you're Sean Marks when you have 20 teams compared to 10 teams reaching out to you, sending offers. It's negotiation 101. When you only have limited choices, you're not going to get as much in return. When you have more options, you'll get more. So trading Brook Lopez, unless it is a guarantee lottery pick or a guarantee, young player involved that you really believe is going to be a star player, you do not trade him. Now, what do I mean? I mean, like, if the Celtics called up the Nets and said, we'll give you Jaylen Brown and the Nets and your pick back for Brook Lopez, I'd say you absolutely do it. Because you get a really young player in Jaylen Brown who could be something really good, and you get your draft pick back, which would be huge because the Nets will finally have reason to be bad. I say absolutely then you trade Brook Lopez because you're going to get your pick back and a good young player. And if I'm Sean Marks, I'll be like, hey, throw like Kelly Olynyk in as well. You know what I mean? Like, try to balance out the salaries, try to make that work. I do that trade before the trade deadline, absolutely. But I don't think the Celtics are really going to try to do that trade, but who knows? But that's the type of trade I say, yes, you trade Brook Lopez. But the reason why I say that the Nets probably won't trade Brook Lopez is because I don't see many teams offering the world for Lopez at this point. Because 2 first-round draft picks is a pretty steep price for some of these teams who may not make the playoffs. And that's why. They're like, we may not make the playoffs, so giving up 2 first-round draft picks might be a little bit too much of a high asking price. And you know what? Something I don't think Sean Marks wants to trade Lopez. I don't think he wants to trade him at all. I think he wants to hear what he'll get for him, and he made the price very, very high to probably deter teams away from it. Kind of like, oh man, they want that much for Lopez? Never mind. Because I think he knows. He knows that he could get more for Lopez over the offseason. He knows that Brook Lopez is a key veteran to this young team and is a vocal leader, and he leads this team, and they love everything about him. He knows that without Lopez, this team is going to be lucky to win 3 more games the rest of the year, and he knows that being bad doesn't get him anywhere. He knows all these things. But he also knows that if someone blows him away with an offer, that he'd be foolish not to accept it. So that's why I'm saying that the Nets should not trade Lopez unless they are offered the world for him, or offered at least what they're asking of 2 first-round draft picks. Personally, I think 2 first-round draft picks and a young potential player would be what I would ask for, because if a team wants to really give up that much for Lopez, I'm happy about it. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So I would rather play out this season, try to make some other moves involving Bojan Bogdanovic and maybe a few other players that the Nets have. Like, honestly, I think Chris McCullough should be traded at this point because obviously he's never going to play. The Nets are never going to give him an opportunity. So at this point, they might as well trade him because why not? If you're not going to play the guy, you might as well trade him, right? So maybe you trade Chris McCullough and Bojan Bogdanovic and get some other player like, I don't know, Nerlens Noel. A player that the 76ers are looking to get rid of. A player who's 23 years old, who has a lot of potential, who could improve and become very solid, who can play well with Brook Lopez in the front court, help the Nets defensively and rebounding. That's not a bad idea. And I'm sure the 76ers would be okay doing like a Bojan Bogdanovic and Noel switch. Maybe they focus on trying to fix their point guard position, because right now we have no idea what's going to happen with Jeremy Lin. Will he be back before the end of the season? He's supposed to be back by the All-Star break. They say the All-Star break he's going to be back. But he had 2 setbacks already. What's going to stop from having a 3rd setback? Hamstrings are tricky. So if I'm the Nets, I'm thinking about a contingency plan. Because Spencer's freaking Dinwiddie sure as hell isn't good enough to be the point guard that this team should be counting on. So maybe the Nets should look into maybe getting another point guard. Maybe Darren Collison. I don't know if he's available. I don't know if the Nets have enough to offer to get him. Maybe you try trading Bogdanovic and Chris McCullough for Collison. He's a player who can be a starting point guard, come off the bench when Lin comes back, slide Whitehead to the 2, or or he can play the 2 as well. That's a move I would look to make, but not trading Brook Lopez. You know what I'm saying? Like let's try to improve this team and not be the worst team in the league, where it doesn't hinder us or hinder the Nets for the future with the young players, and doesn't affect the whole idea of what they're trying to do. But let's try to get better. And I think trading for Nerlens Noel, trading for Darren Collison, or looking to make a few other moves, which I personally think the Nets should do, which once again I'll go over in the next NetsBoy episode, I think Nets could improve their team and not be the worst team in the league, not give the Celtics the best chances for the first overall pick, and not be a complete disaster. And trading Lopez would do all that right now. It would make the Nets a complete disaster, and without getting the proper return that will make sure that this team can rebuild the right way, it is not worth doing at this time. Okay? Because I know there's a lot of people out there who say the Nets need to trade Lopez. Throwing crap. And I'm trying to remind you guys that you don't just make a trade for the sake of making a trade. You make a trade when you believe it will help your team in the long run. And right now, trading Lopez, unless it was for something really, really good, will not help this team, even in the long run. It really wouldn't. It really wouldn't. Don't get desperate. Don't get uneasy. Make the right move. Don't panic. Just be calm. You want to trade Lopez? I agree. The best bet, though, would be to do it at the end of the season, not at the trade deadline, unless they get a great offer. Okay? Okay. there you have it. So that's just something I really wanted to take care of. Like I said, my next NetsBoy episode will probably be another week or two as well, and it's going to be some of the trade moves I think the Nets should make. And probably there will be no Brook Lopez trades in that, though I might have one or two that I might say, like, if we do trade Lopez, this is what the Nets should do. But I think that's going to be my video. I do a video like that every year. You know, every year around the trade deadline, I always have a video of the moves the Nets should make. And so we'll see what happens. So let me know what you guys think. I hope you all kind of agree and understand why I'm saying the Nets shouldn't trade Lopez yet unless they get a great offer, because it just doesn't seem to make tons of sense when you could get more at the end of the offseason. You know? So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what players you believe the Nets should maybe try to go after, and maybe I'll discuss them in my next NetsBoy episode. So until then, wait a minute. I got to talk about the next few games for the Nets. I don't even want to do it because they're just all going to be losses. I mean, they're all losses. They're all just going to be losses. This team is terrible. And who the hell is Spencer Dinwiddie? This is NetsBoy. Signing off.